Well, hello everyone. I'm here today to give you a brief lesson on some basic knife skills used in the cooking world. We'll be focusing specifically on dicing, mincing, and julienning. Before we get into the actual skills, let's first examine the proper way to hold a cutting knife. To begin, you want to start by moving your hand all the way down the handle so that your thumb is on one side of the blade and your index finger is on the other. Your hand should still be on the handle of the knife, but your thumb and index finger will be on either side of where the blade begins. The first skill we are going to look at is dicing. Dicing is one of the most basic knife skills and lays the foundation for many others a chef may use in the kitchen. We dice food to allow for more of their flavors to cook into the dish as we are preparing them. Now to get started, we're going to use our free hand to hold the food in place and then curl our fingertips underneath to avoid cutting ourselves. Now this next part may seem scary, but with a little practice you'll be dicing worry-free in no time. To get started, we're going to place the flat side of the blade alongside the knuckles of our free hand, and we're going to use that hand to help guide the knife as we dice. You want to move your hand down the length of the ingredient, making even vertical cuts as you go. As you see, we've rotated the ingredient and we're going to go ahead and repeat the process. I'm going to show you a couple different angles so you can get a better idea of exactly what I'm talking about. And when we're all said and done, we should have nice, even, diced up squares like you see here. Now that we have one of the basics down, let's move on to something a little more difficult. The next skill we will examine is mincing. Mincing is similar to dicing, only we will be cutting our ingredients a little more finely. Essentially, we're trying to make our ingredients as small as possible. To save time and redundancy, what you see here is a pre-diced jalapeno pepper. From here, we can begin the mincing process. You want to keep the tip of the knife on the cutting board at all times, and use it to pivot around the ingredient. Whereas with dicing, we were trying to cut vertically and evenly. With mincing, we're just trying to attack the ingredient from as many possible angles as we can. Remember, our goal is to turn these ingredients into their smallest possible form. As the pieces get smaller, you may notice they start to collect on the knife. This is perfectly fine. Simply brush them off, back down into the pile, and resume your pivoting and cutting motion. You'll continue to do this until you feel as though you can't possibly cut them any smaller. Two knife skills down, hopefully all of our fingers still intact, and one skill left to examine. Are we ready? Our final skill will be julienning. Now don't be scared by the name. While it sounds fancy, it's actually quite simple. Now to picture what julienning is, I want you to think of fries from Steak 'n Shake. They're the skinny looking shoestring fries. Think about the fact that it started as a whole potato and then was cut down to create the shape of that fry. The shape of that fry is the look we're going for. Now let's try it ourselves. For this segment, we'll be using celery to demonstrate. We'll go ahead and grip the knife as we did before for dicing and mincing. We'll then proceed to cut the ingredient in a way so that it creates vertical pieces, about 1/4 of an inch thick. Try to make all of the pieces as similar in size as possible. I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple different camera angles just so you get the full picture of what I'm talking about. When all is said and done, this is what we should be left with. Well, that's it. We've just gone through 3 different types of knife skills. Like anything else, the technique for all of them may be a little difficult at first, but if you continue to practice, you'll one day be dicing, mincing, and julienning like a seasoned pro. Bon appetit, my friends!